In the breathtaking heart of the Kananaskis Mountains, where jagged peaks rise above endless forests and the air is crisp with the promise of change, a gathering of historic significance was about to unfold. The natural beauty of Alberta's Rockies provided a dramatic backdrop, but beneath the tranquil surface, tensions simmered, hinting at the storm clouds gathering on the horizon. Here, the world's most powerful democracies assembled for the 2025 G7 summit, a meeting that would shape the course of international relations for years to come. Leaders from across the globe arrived, each carrying the weight of their nation's hopes and anxieties, ready to confront the pressing issues of the day. The scenery was serene, almost idyllic, but the mood inside the summit was anything but calm. Global conflicts, economic uncertainty, and a fierce Canada-US trade war loomed large over the proceedings. Journalists from every corner of the world gathered, their cameras and pens poised to capture every moment of drama and diplomacy. At the center of it all stood Canada's new Prime Minister, Mark Carney. Known for his steady hand and experience in global finance, Carney was determined to use this summit as a platform to champion long-term stability, international cooperation, and a renewed sense of trust among allies. His vision was ambitious, to bridge divides and steer the world toward a more predictable, peaceful future. But Carney's aspirations quickly ran into the hard reality of international politics. His vision for unity and collaboration clashed head-on with the America First agenda of President Donald Trump, who arrived determined to put U.S. interests above all else. The two leaders, representing starkly different philosophies, found themselves on a collision course. The summit's real drama, however, centered on the increasingly strained relationship between host nation Canada and its powerful southern neighbor. Once close allies, the two countries now found themselves at odds over tariffs, trade, and the very principles that had long underpinned their partnership. Tariffs and trade disputes had turned friends into rivals, casting a shadow over the summit. The world's media watched closely, anticipating fireworks and searching for signs of either reconciliation or further division. Every handshake, every headline seemed to carry outsized significance. As leaders arrived, the contrast between them was unmistakable. Carney, the consensus builder, moved with quiet confidence, seeking common ground and dialogue. Trump, the deal-maker, commanded attention with bold statements and a combative style. Their approaches set the tone for what would become a defining moment in modern diplomacy. The stage was set for a high-stakes confrontation, one that would not only test the resolve of individual leaders, but also the very future of global cooperation. In the shadow of the Rockies, the world waited to see whether unity could prevail over division, and whether hope could break through the gathering storm. To truly grasp the drama that would unfold at this summit, you first need to understand the two central figures whose contrasting personalities and philosophies set the stage for everything that followed. Their approaches to leadership, negotiation, and the very idea of international cooperation could not have been more different, and their clash would shape not just the summit, but potentially the future of global diplomacy. Mark Carney, recently elected as Canada's new Prime Minister, entered the summit with a reputation for calm, measured, and data-driven leadership. His background as a central banker had earned him respect on the world stage for his analytical mind and steady hand during times of crisis. Carney was known for his ability to listen, to weigh evidence, and to build consensus among even the most stubborn of partners. He placed a premium on expertise, careful negotiation, and the power of international cooperation. For Carney, the summit was not just a photo opportunity or a stage for grandstanding. It was a chance to forge real, lasting solutions to the world's most pressing problems. Carney's vision was clear: use the G7 as a platform to build sustainable agreements, address climate change, and strengthen alliances. He wanted Canada to be seen not just as a host, but as a leader in shaping the global agenda. Then, there was Donald Trump, the President of the United States. Trump was famous for his disruptive style, his reliance on instinct over analysis, and his willingness to upend established norms. He relished the role of the outsider, the deal-maker who could shake things up and get results where others had failed. Trump viewed international relations as a series of zero-sum transactions. Every negotiation had a winner and a loser, and he was determined that the United States would always come out on top. He distrusted multilateral agreements, preferring direct, hard-nosed bargaining. Arriving at the summit with a self-imposed deadline for new tariffs, Trump was determined to force a quick trade victory, even if it meant ruffling feathers among America's closest allies. He saw the summit as an opportunity to assert American power and demand concessions. Where Carney saw complexity, nuance, and the need for patience, Trump demanded simplicity, speed, and clear wins. Their leadership styles were as different as their backgrounds, one a planner, the other a gambler. Their worldviews couldn't be more different. Carney, the careful architect of consensus, versus Trump, the bold dealmaker who thrived on confrontation. The stage was set for a dramatic showdown. The G7 summit, set against the breathtaking backdrop of the Canadian Rockies, became their arena, a place where the future of international cooperation would be tested. As the world's media gathered and the eyes of the globe turned to the summit, everyone braced for a collision of styles, ambitions, and visions for the future. The stakes had never been higher. The heart of the Canada-US clash was trade. Months of tariffs and disputes had strained their relationship to the breaking point. Trump wanted a fast, US-favored deal, wielding tariffs as blunt force. He saw trade as a simple transaction: get results, move on. Carney, in contrast, viewed trade as a complex negotiation with lasting consequences. He refused to rush, insisting any deal must protect Canadian jobs and industries. For Carney, no deal was better than a bad one. He aimed to use the G7 to diversify Canada's trade, reducing reliance on the US. The summit became a test of patience versus pressure. Would Canada bend or stand firm? The defining moment of the summit wasn't in a closed room. It happened live, on camera. During a press quanda, Trump called himself a tariff person and praised his own simple approach. Carney, standing beside him, gave a subtle wink and smirk to the press. The gesture was brief, but instantly viral. A meme, a gif, a symbol of defiance. It was read as Carney quietly mocking Trump's approach, signaling confidence and resolve. The internet exploded with reactions, fueling debate on both sides. For critics, it was a leader standing up to bluster. For supporters, it was disrespect. Either way, the moment captured the summit's tension in a single glance. Sometimes a wink says more than words. If the wink was subtle, the next moment was unmistakable. In a room filled with the world's most powerful leaders, every gesture, every word is magnified. The tension was already thick, but what happened next would ripple far beyond the walls of the summit. As Trump veered off topic at the press conference, blaming past leaders for Russia's G7 exclusion, Carney acted. The US president's words echoed through the hall, drawing the attention of every journalist and official. It was a familiar tactic, Trump shifting the narrative, challenging the status quo, and putting the spotlight on himself. But this time, the world was watching to see how the new G7 chair would respond. Calmly, he cut Trump off. "If you don't mind, I'm going to exercise my role as G7 chair." The words were measured, but the message was clear. The summit would not be hijacked. Carney's tone was firm, his posture unyielding. In that instant, he drew a line, one that even the President of the United States could not cross. The room fell silent. Interrupting a US president was unheard of. Journalists exchanged glances, some barely suppressing their surprise. Cameras flashed, capturing the moment that would soon dominate headlines around the globe. For a brief second, time seemed to stand still as everyone processed what had just happened. Carney ended the press conference, refocusing the summit on urgent issues. He didn't just close a meeting, he redirected the world's attention to the matters that truly demanded it: climate change, economic stability, and global security. The message was unmistakable. Personal politics would not overshadow the collective mission. The move was a clear assertion of authority, signaling he wouldn't let the summit be derailed. Carney's leadership style, decisive, composed, and principled, was on full display. He reminded everyone that the G7 was not a stage for individual agendas, but a forum for global cooperation. It was a dramatic public stand. Carney was in charge, not just hosting. In that moment, he transformed from a facilitator to a leader, commanding respect from allies and adversaries alike. The world saw a new kind of Canadian leadership, bold, assertive, and unafraid to challenge even the most powerful voices in the room. The interruption set a new tone for Canada's leadership. It was a declaration that Canada would not simply follow, but lead with conviction. The red and white flag at the summit now symbolized a nation ready to shape the global agenda. It showed the world that even the US president could be checked, No one, regardless of their power or influence, was above the rules of international diplomacy. Carney's intervention was a reminder that respect and order still mattered on the world stage. The G7's focus snapped back to global challenges. The leaders returned to the table, ready to tackle the pressing issues of the day. The summit's purpose was restored, and the world took notice. Carney's resolve was now unmistakable. In a single, decisive moment, he had redefined what it meant to lead on the world stage, and the world would remember. Behind closed doors, Trump pressed hard for a quick trade deal. The pressure on Canada was immense, but Carney refused to rush. Canada's message, "No deal is better than a bad deal." Carney stood firm, protecting Canadian interests over political optics. Instead of caving, he used the summit to pitch Canada as a stable trade partner to Europe and Japan. His goal: make Canada's economy the strongest in the G7, less reliant on the US. The summit ended with no new trade deal, just a promise to keep talking. For Trump, it was a setback. For Carney, a victory. Canada had held its ground under pressure. The world saw a new, assertive Canadian leadership. The Carney-Trump showdown didn't go unnoticed by other G7 leaders. Trump's early departure shifted the summit's mood. Suddenly, discussions were more open and collaborative. Privately, many leaders welcomed Carney's firm stance, seeing it as a defense of the rules-based order. Carney's actions subtly shifted the balance of power, showing the US could be challenged. The G7 felt more like a meeting of equals, not just a stage for American dominance. Beyond the headline clash, the G7 tackled urgent global crises. The Middle East conflict and war in Ukraine dominated discussions, but consensus was elusive. Canada announced new aid for Ukraine, but a joint G7 statement was blocked by the US. Trump's push to readmit Russia clashed with other leaders' opposition. Still, there were diplomatic wins. Carney and India's Modi agreed to restore full diplomatic ties. Even amid tension, the summit made progress on key international relationships. The world's challenges remained daunting, but moments of cooperation shone through. The 2025 G7 summit will be remembered for Canada's defiant stand. Mark Carney redefined Canadian leadership, confident, independent, and unafraid to challenge even the US president. The viral moments were more than theatrics. They were declarations of a new approach. Carney's refusal to rush a trade deal signaled a break from old patterns of deference. His actions resonated at home and abroad, showing Canada would not be a junior partner. The summit marked the start of a more assertive era in Canadian foreign policy. Under the Rockies' peaks, Canada stood firm, and the world took notice. A new chapter has begun. Canada stands firm.